All right, so welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to dive into the career of a true cycling legend. I'm talking about Alejandro Valverde.
Oh, yeah, he's a fascinating one for sure.
Yeah, so you've given me just like a huge amount of information, primarily from his Wikipedia page.
Yeah,
And it's quite a story.
it is.
You know, long career, very decorated. And I guess our mission today is to kind of like pick out the most interesting and significant stuff from his career
Absolutely.
and look at, you know, what made him so great. What were his strengths as a rider, and what about this controversy that followed him for so many years?
Yeah, I think that's a key part of it for sure.
Yeah, so let's start at the beginning. Alejandro Valverde, born on April 25, 1980.
Yeah.
In Los Hombreros, Murcia, Spain.
Okay.
And he got a few nicknames over the years, the most famous probably being Bala Verde, the green bullet,
Right.
which I think kind of describes his explosive speed and power.
Yeah.
But he was also known as just El Bala, the bullet.
Yeah.
And maybe the most telling one from his early career was El Imbatido, the unbeaten, yeah. So he raced professionally on the road from 2002 all the way to 2022.
Wow, that's a long time.
Which is a long time, yeah. And then even more incredibly, he's still competing. Currently in gravel racing for the Movistar Team Gravel Squad
Yeah.
at the age of 44.
Yeah.
So clearly he loves to ride his bike.
Yeah, definitely a lifelong passion there for sure.
So cycling was kind of in his blood from a young age. His father was an amateur racer, and he was the one who actually bought him his first bike when he was 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
And then his brother, Juan Francisco, also competed at the amateur level.
Okay.
So it's like a real cycling family. You know, the whole family loves cycling.
Yeah, those early influences are often so crucial.
Yeah, so he started racing, you know, just local events. Took second place in his first race in Jamila, but then won his very next race in Yekla. But what's so interesting is his amateur career was just legendary.
Oh, yeah.
He apparently racked up over 50 consecutive victories between the ages of 11 and 13.
Wow, okay, that's amazing.
That's pretty incredible. That's how he got the nickname El Imbatido, the unbeaten.
You can see why.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, imagine just winning constantly at that age.
It speaks volumes about his talent and also like his mindset. You know, that level of consistent winning at such a young age, it's pretty remarkable.
Right. And it just like sets the stage for the kind of competitor he would become.
Absolutely, yeah.
So he actually rode briefly for the Benesto amateur team, which is a, you know, pretty prestigious setup.
Okay.
But it seems like his performance actually dipped a little bit
Oh, wow.
because of all the travel that he had to do back and forth from his home in Murcia.
Yeah, I can imagine that being tough.
Yeah.
You know, all that travel at such a young age, especially when you're still developing as a writer.
Right. Maybe it was just a little too much for him at that point in his life.
Mm-hmm.
But things really seemed to kind of click when he moved to the Costa Blanca amateur squad. And this is really important because this is where he was coached by Francisco Moya. And Valverde himself has said that Moya played like a really crucial role in his development as a cyclist.
Interesting.
And so this ultimately led to his promotion to the professional Kelmet team.
Ah, I see. So that's really where he got his start.
Yeah.
It's amazing how often you hear about like these crucial mentors and coaches who help guide a talented young athlete, you know, towards greatness.
Yeah. I mean, it can make such a difference.
Absolutely.
To have that guidance, you know, at that formative stage of your career. So let's get into his professional road cycling career. Starting with his time at Kelma from 2002 to 2004. He turned pro in 2002. But it was really 2003 that he had his breakthrough year.
Okay.
He won 2 stages in the Vuelta a España, a major 3-week Grand Tour,
Wow.
and finished an incredible 3rd overall.
That's huge, especially for like a relatively new professional.
Yeah. Like to be performing at that level at such a young age and such a big race
Right.
is really impressive. I mean, what does that tell us about his potential at that time?
I think it signaled that he was more than just like a promising talent. You know, he was a rider who could actually compete for the win in the world's biggest races.
Yeah.
The fact that he could win stages and finish on the podium in a Grand Tour so early on suggests that he already had like this exceptional physical capability, but also like a good understanding of how to race over 3 weeks.
Right. He knew how to pace himself. He knew how to suffer. You know, he knew how to make the right tactical decisions in those really long races.
Exactly, yeah.
And it wasn't just the Grand Tour. In 2003, he also won the Vuelta a Mallorca, a stage in the Tour of the Basque Country, which is a really hard, hilly stage race.
Okay.
The GP Primavera and the GP Villafranca de Ordizia. And then, incredibly, he finished second at the 2003 UCI Road World Championships.
Wow, so he was winning in all kinds of races, different formats, different types of terrain.
Yeah, he wasn't just a one-trick pony.
No, not at all. And that versatility, that ability to perform across different disciplines, that really became like a hallmark of his career. To win a stage race, and then a few weeks later to win a one-day classic, and then to get a medal in the World Championships, that shows a remarkable range.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he stuck with Kelmy in 2004, even though the team was actually having like some serious financial difficulties.
Oh, wow. So he stayed loyal even during a tough time.
Yeah, maybe he just felt comfortable there.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just, he believed in the team, even though they were going through some issues.
Yeah.
And his winning ways continued. He won the overall in the Volta a la Comunidad Valenciana, the Vuelta a Murcia, another stage in the Tour of the Basque Country, and the Vuelta a Burgos. He also finished fourth in the 2004 Vuelta a España.
Wow, another great Grand Tour result.
Yeah, and he even won a stage despite being hampered by a crash.
Okay, so he was clearly like a tough competitor, able to overcome setbacks.
Yeah, he was a fighter. And on top of all of that, he even represented Spain at the Summer Olympics in 2004.
Wow, it's like he was constantly competing at this high level.
Yeah, and I mean, it just shows, his professionalism, his dedication. Even when his team was going through some struggles, he managed to stay focused and deliver results.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, that speaks to his character and his commitment to the sport.
So then came this really long and really successful period with Case d'Epargne, which later became Movistar
Okay.
from 2005 all the way to 2022. And this is where he got like the vast majority of his big victories.
Right.
So let's kind of touch on like some of the highlights year by year.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's so many, we can't cover them all.
No way.
So 2005, he joins this new team, Il Baliers Case d'Epargne.
Okay.
Makes an impact straight away. Wins the final stage at Paris-Nice.
Wow, that's a prestigious race.
Yeah, and finishes second overall.
Yeah.
And then grabs 2 stages in the Tour of the Basque Country.
Okay, so he's off to a good start.
Yeah, and then his first Tour de France.
Right.
He wins stage 10, out-sprinting Lance Armstrong, no less.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he was challenging the big names right away.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been such a huge moment in his career to beat Armstrong in a sprint finish at the Tour de France.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a statement win.
Yeah, so he was leading the young rider classification for a while, but then had to withdraw because of a knee injury.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, that was a setback. But he still manages to finish second at the UCI Road World Championships in Madrid. So even with the injury, he's still competing at the highest level.
Yeah, his resilience is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. So then 2006 is another amazing year. He wins the stage in the Tour of the Basque Country, finishes second overall, and wins the points classification there.
Okay.
And then he does this really prestigious Ardennes Classics double,
Oh, wow.
winning both La Flèche Wallonne and Liège-Bastogne-Liège
In the same year.
in the same year.
Those are two of the hardest one-day races on the calendar.
Yeah, they are so demanding.
You have to be strong and smart, to win those.
Yeah, and to win both in the same year is like, it's incredibly rare.
It is.
He also wins a stage in the Tour de Romandie, finishing third overall, but then has a crash in the Tour de France that year. Fractures his collarbone.
Oh, no, another injury.
Yeah, but then bounces back again to finish second overall in the Volta a España. Even wins a stage there and wears the leader's jersey for a while.
So he's back to his winning ways.
Yeah, and then to top it all off, he wins the UCI Pro Tour that year.
Oh, wow. So that's like the overall ranking.
Yeah, it's this season-long ranking for all the top cyclists in the world.
Okay.
And on top of that, he gets a bronze medal at the UCI Road World Championships.
So 2006 was a pretty amazing year for him.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, what does it tell us about his strengths as a rider to achieve that Ardennes double?
I think it shows that he's especially good in hilly one-day races. Like, those Ardennes Classics are known for their short, steep climbs.
Yeah, they're brutal.
And so he clearly has this explosive power that you need for those climbs.
Right.
But he also has the endurance to last for like 6 or 7 hours of racing.
Right, you have to have both.
You do, and to win both of them in the same week, I mean, that takes like a really special rider, you know? Someone who's at the peak of their physical and mental abilities.
Yeah, for sure. So then in 2007, he starts strong again, wins the overall in the Volta a la Comunidad Valenciana and the Volta a Murcia. Even takes his first victory in an individual time trial in Murcia.
Okay, so he's showing that he can win against the clock as well.
He's becoming more and more versatile. And then he finishes second in both La Flèche Wallonne and Liège-Bastogne-Liège. So almost does the Ardennes double again.
Oh, wow, so close.
Yeah, finishes sixth overall in the Tour de France. But then comes this kind of reemergence of the Operation Porto implication.
Doping scandal.
Yeah, and he's initially prevented from riding the World Championships, although CAS later authorizes his participation.
Oh, wow. So there's this kind of cloud of uncertainty hanging over him.
Yeah, and I mean, how do you think that affects a rider mentally and professionally?
I mean, it must be so difficult, you know, to deal with all that while you're trying to train and compete at the highest level.
Yeah, it's a huge distraction.
It is, and it can really affect your morale and your motivation.
For sure. So then 2008 brings another spring of great results, including an overall win in the Vuelta a Murcia and another victory in Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
Okay, so he's back to winning those big classics.
Yeah. He also wins the Criterium du Dauphiné Libéré.
Which is like a mini Tour de France?
Yeah, it's a key warm-up race for the Tour.
Yeah.
And he wins the Spanish National Road Race Championships, which is a big deal.
That's a special one.
To win in your home country.
Absolutely.
He wins the opening stage of the Tour de France that year and finishes in the top 10 overall. He then wins the Clásica de San Sebastián, another big one-day race, a stage in the Volta a España, where he finishes 4th overall.
Okay, another top Grand Tour result.
Yeah, and incredibly, he wins his second UCI Pro Tour title.
So he's back on top of the world ranking.
Yeah, it's like he's just consistently performing at an incredibly high level.
Across all different types of races.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
So then 2009 continues in that vein of success. He wins classifications and stages in the Vuelta a Castilla y León, wins Clásica Primavera and the Volta a Catalunya, and then secures another Criterium du Dauphiné Libéré victory.
So he's really dominating those races.
Yeah, he's on fire.
And winning on Mont Ventoux, too.
Yeah, winning a stage on Mont Ventoux is special.
It is.
But the highlight of that year is definitely his overall victory in the Volta as España.
Finally gets that Grand Tour win.
Yeah, he's been close a few times before, but this time he takes it all. And it's interesting because he didn't actually win any individual stages in that Vuelta.
Yeah, really. So how did he win the overall without winning any stages?
It was all about consistency, especially in the mountains.
Okay, so he was just always there in the mix.
Yeah, and, you know, avoiding any big losses and just chipping away, you know, day after day. Just being super consistent and super smart.
Yeah, that's how you win Grand Tours sometimes. You know, it's not always about going for stage wins. It's about being consistent and minimizing your losses.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So then comes 2010, and unfortunately, this is the year where all his results get annulled due to the doping suspension.
Right. This is the Operation Porto scandal coming back to haunt him.
Yeah, and it's a major setback for him. He's out of competition for a period.
It's a reminder of how doping can really overshadow a career.
Yeah, for sure. And it's something that, you know, we'll talk about a little bit more later on.
Absolutely.
But he makes his return to racing in 2012 at the Tour Down Under in Australia.
Okay.
And immediately shows that he's still got it. Wins a stage, finishes 2nd overall.
So he hasn't lost his form.
No, not at all. And then follows that up with an overall victory in the Vuelta and Lucia, a stage win, and 3rd overall in Paris-Nice.
So he's back to winning races right away.
Yeah, it's a really remarkable comeback. And then wins another stage in the Tour de France.
Wow, so he's back at the top level in the Grand Tours as well.
Yeah, and then finishes 2nd in the Vuelta as España, winning 2 stages, including the team time trial, and takes home the points and combination classifications there. And then to top it off, wins a bronze medal at the World Championship.
So it's like he never left.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stunning return to form after, you know, being out of the sport for a period.
I mean, how do you explain that kind of immediate success after a ban like that?
It's got to be a combination of things, you know. Obviously natural talent,
Right.
but also incredible dedication to training. You know, a real commitment to coming back stronger than ever. And maybe a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Wanting to prove that he could still compete at the highest level.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the next few years just continue in this pattern of like incredible success and consistency.
He was a machine, wasn't he?
He really was. So in 2013, he wins the Vuelta and Andalusia again. And it's points classification.
Okay.
Gets podium finishes in the Amstel Gold Race and Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
So still up there in the classics.
Yeah. Finishes 8th overall in the Tour de France. 3rd overall in the Volta as España.
Okay, so still getting those top results in the Grand Tours?
Yeah, and wins another bronze medal at the World Championships. He does face a little bit of criticism at the Worlds that year, though, for not covering Rui Costa's attack,
Right.
which ultimately, you know, Costa wins the race.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, you know, how much scrutiny these riders are under.
Yeah, it's a team sport, but it's also very individual, you know?
Yeah, it's a weird balance.
It is, and there's a lot of pressure in those big races.
For sure. So then 2014,
Mm.
he finishes a strong 4th overall in the Tour de France.
Okay.
Wins the Clásica de San Sebastián for the 2nd time.
Wow.
Takes a stage win and another 3rd overall in the Volta a España.
So he still got it in the Grand Tours.
Yeah, signs a new 3-year contract with Movistar. So he's obviously happy there.
Yeah, they must have been happy with him, too.
Yeah, and gets another bronze medal at the World Road Race Championships.
That's his 4th bronze medal.
His 4th bronze medal.
Wow, he must have had a whole collection.
Yeah, he was always up there.
Yeah.
And then he finishes 2nd in the Giro di Lombardia.
Another one of those monument classics.
Yeah, and all of that leads to him finishing 1st in the UCI World Tour rankings for 2014.
So he's the #1 ranked rider in the world.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible, right? Like, he's 34 years old at this point.
That's getting up there for a cyclist.
It is. And he's still the best in the world.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So then 2015 is a really amazing year for him in the classics.
Okay.
He wins 3 stages in the Volta a Catalunya,
Okay.
finishes a close 2nd in the Amstel Gold Race, wins La Flèche Wallonne for the 3rd time.
Wow. He's becoming a specialist in that one.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
And then goes on to win Liège-Bastogne-Liège for the 3rd time as well.
Wow.
So he's only the 2nd rider in history to achieve the Ardennes double twice,
That's incredible.
winning both races in the same year,
Mhm.
twice in his career. He also wins the Spanish National Road Race Championships for the 2nd time, and finally achieves a podium finish at the Tour de France, finishing 3rd overall. And he said at this point, his one remaining major career goal is to win that elusive World Championship road race.
Ah, the one that got away. So what about 2016?
2016, he wins the Vuelta and the Lucia again, which incredibly is his 100th career professional victory.
Wow, what a milestone.
Yeah, 100 wins. He also wins 2 stages and the overall in the Volta a Castilla y León. Wins La Flèche Wallonne for a record 4th time.
Okay, so he's the king of that race.
Yeah, he owns that race.
Wow.
And then he finishes 3rd overall in the Giro d'Italia.
Okay, so he's on the podium of all 3 Grand Tours now.
He's got podiums in all 3. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's one of the very few riders to ever achieve that.
Yeah. And then 6th in the Tour de France, 3rd in the Clásica de San Sebastián. And then, get this, he completes all 3 Grand Tours in the same season. The Giro, the Tour, and the Vuelta.
Oh, wow. That takes some serious endurance.
It does.
Most riders only focus on 1 or 2 Grand Tours a year.
Yeah, it's just too much, But he does all 3 and finishes 4th in the UCI World Tour season standings.
So he's still up there in the rankings.
Still incredibly consistent. So then 2017, he continues his amazing run.
Mhm.
Wins the Volta a Murcia, the Volta a Andalusia for the 5th time in 6 years.
Incredible.
Yeah, winning a stage there as well. Wins the Volta a Catalunya, the Tour of the Basque Country, a record 5th La Flèche Wallonne.
Okay, he just keeps breaking his own record.
Yeah, and wins Liège-Bastogne-Liège for the 4th time.
Wow. So he was having a great season.
It was a dominant season. But then disaster strikes. He crashes out of the Tour de France on the very first stage,
Oh, no.
fractures his kneecap, and his season's over.
That must have been devastating, especially after such a good start to the year.
Yeah, I mean, what a way to end a season, after all those wins in the spring.
Yeah, he was on top of the world, and then just like that, it's all over.
Yeah, but showing his incredible resilience, he comes back strong again in 2018. Wins a stage and the overall a la Comunitat Valenciana. Finishes 2nd in the Volta de Murcia.
Huh?
Wins the Abu Dhabi Tour. Finishes 4th in the Strade Bianche. Wins the Volta a Catalunya for a 2nd time. Takes the mountains classification there.
So he's racking up the wins again.
Yeah, wins the GP Miguel Indurain. Gets a few other high placings in the Spring Classics. Wins the Route dos Titani. 2 stages in the Vuelta a España, finishing 5th overall and winning the points classification for a record equaling 4th time. And then finally, he wins the gold medal at the UCI Road World Championships in Innsbruck.
He finally did it.
Finally did it. It was amazing.
After all those years and all those near misses, he finally gets that rainbow jersey.
At 38 years old, he was the 2nd oldest ever to win it.
It's a testament to his longevity and his never give up attitude.
Yeah, and it was clearly like a really emotional victory for him.
Yeah.
Like just a culmination of years of hard work and dedication.
Yeah.
And he's awarded the Vélo d'Or that year.
So he's officially the best rider in the world.
Yeah, the best rider in the world. So even as he approaches his 40s, he remains incredibly competitive.
It's remarkable, isn't it, to be still winning at that age?
Yeah. In 2019, he gets a bunch of 2nd place finishes, wins a stage in the UAE Tour, his first victory, wearing the rainbow jersey as world champion.
That must have been special.
Yeah, I bet. Finishes an impressive 8th in the Tour of Flanders, his first time ever riding that iconic cobbled classic.
Wow, so he's trying new things even at this late stage of his career.
Yeah, wins the Route d'Ostany, the Spanish National Road Race Championships, for a third time.
Wow, okay, so he's still winning big races.
Finishes 9th overall in the Tour de France.
Okay.
Wins a stage and finishes 2nd overall in the Vuelta a España. And finishes 2nd in Il Lombardia.
So he's still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and then even in the pandemic-affected seasons of 2020 and 2021, he's still racing and getting good results. Gets his 3rd victory in the GP Miguel Indurain. Top 5 finishes in all 3 Ardennes Classics in 2021. Even wins a stage in the Criterium du Dauphiné 13 years after his last stage win in that race.
Wow, talk about longevity.
I know. And he announces that 2022 is going to be his final season as a professional road cyclist. But he doesn't go quietly.
No way.
No, he finishes 2nd in both Strade Bianche and La Flèche Wallonne. 11th overall in the Giro d'Italia. 13th in his final Vuelta a España. And then gets some really good results in some Italian classics at the end of the season.
So he was competitive right to the very end.
Right to the very end.
That's awesome.
And as we said right at the beginning, his competitive spirit obviously hasn't diminished.
Yo.
He comes out of retirement in 2023 to compete in gravel racing for the Movistar Team Gravel Squad, and immediately starts winning races in this new discipline. He wins 2 UCI Gravel World Series events and finishes a very strong 4th at the 2023 World Gravel Championships.
So he's just a natural-born racer.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what kind of bike he's on or what kind of surface he's racing on, he's always going to be competitive.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, reflecting on this incredible journey, what stands out to you as the most significant aha moment, or like the overarching theme of Alejandro Valverde's career?
I think for me, the most remarkable thing is just his resilience. He faced those setbacks with the doping suspension. He had some really serious injuries over the years. Yeah.
And every time he bounced back.
He did.
And he often came back even stronger.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about his character and his determination. He never gave up on himself. He never stopped believing. And in the end, he achieved pretty much everything he set out to do in the sport, including that world championship title that had eluded him for so long.
Yeah. And I think for our listeners out there, Valverde's career really is like a fascinating case study
It is.
in the world of professional sports.
Yeah.
It's a story about incredible highs, the pinnacle of athletic achievement. But it's also a story about overcoming adversity and, the challenges that life throws at you.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, what is it that allows some athletes to maintain that level of performance for so many years? What drives them? What keeps them motivated?
Yeah. I think that's a great question to ponder, Because clearly Valverde had that something special that allowed him to stay at the top for so long, even when the sport itself was changing around him, He was able to adapt. He was able to reinvent himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's really impressive.
It is. And it's a testament to his talent, his work ethic, and his passion for cycling.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a good place to leave it for today.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me for another deep dive.
It's fun.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.